In this example, we will use the TI-83 or the TI-84 to find the standard deviation, and then from there we will talk about what it means to be within a certain number of standard deviations from the mean. So let's read the example together. It says, in a 5th grade class, the teacher was interested in the average age and the sample standard deviation of the ages of her students. The following data are the ages for a sample of n equals 20 5th grade students. The ages are rounded to the nearest half year. One thing to note while we're reading this is we're talking about the sample. Since we're talking about a sample, we're going to make sure that we use the correct symbol, in this case S, for the sample standard deviation. So what we're going to do is type these into our calculator. We can press Stat, Enter. We have data in here already, so we'll clear it by pressing up, clear, and then down. That's the easiest way that I have found to clear the data values. I'm going to pause the video here so that you can work on typing these into your own calculator. I'm glad that I paused the video because I made a few mistakes and I had to confirm that I have them incorrect. What I did was just look through this just to make sure by pressing the up arrow a number of times. Another good way of confirming is that if we have a sample of 20, as given in the question, we want to make sure that our 21st value is the first empty value, or the first blank value, which we have. From here, we're going to press the Stat button, then use Calc, 1var stats, press Enter. Our variables, our ages, were entered into L1, so we're good there. Our frequency list will leave blank because we don't have a frequency. If we did have a frequency in here, as we may have from previous examples, we can just press the Delete button to clear that. Go down and press Calculate and hit Enter. And we'll find that the mean, sample mean, X bar, is 10.525. And the sample standard deviation is 0.716. You'll notice that the population standard deviation is slightly less than the sample standard deviation, and that is always the case. Again, it's important to note what type of data values we are working with. So from here, we will take our sample mean, X bar, of 10.525, and we are going to talk about what it means to be a number of standard deviations either above or below the mean. So again, the standard deviation represents the typical amount of change from the mean. For this example, our sample standard deviation is 0.716. The question asks us to find the ages of students that are within one standard deviation of the mean. Within one standard deviation of the mean means that we're going to look for one standard deviation above the mean and we're going to look for one standard deviation below the mean. So the way that we can calculate these is by taking the mean and adding the standard deviation. In this case, we'll take 10.525 plus 0.716, and we will add them together. 10.525 plus 0.716, and we'll get 11.241. And we could do the same calculation. I'm going to cheat here, press second Enter, and just change this to a subtraction symbol, or we could just type it back in a second time. And we'll find one standard deviation below the mean, X bar minus S, 10.525 minus 0.716, which would be 9.809. And we could change this calculation depending on the number of standard deviations that we want to find. We can make this 2 standard deviations by adding 0.716 times 2. Or we can make this 3 standard deviations, or we can make this 1.5 standard deviations by just multiplying the standard deviation by however many we are looking for.